Hi, I'm Lisa Decker, Certified Divorce Financial Analyst, and I am so excited to be with you today and introduce you to a special guest that I have with me for this Google Hangout, Rosalind Sedacca. Rosalind is recognized as the voice of child-centered divorce, and this is Child-Centered Divorce Month, so I'm very excited to be interviewing Rosalind today. She has written a unique book based on her own experience with divorce and an innovative approach to breaking the news to her 11-year-old son, who today is a grown man who proudly wrote the foreword to her internationally acclaimed ebook, How Do I Tell the Kids About Divorce? Create a storybook to preparing your children with love. I love that. I love that title, Rosalind. It's fantastic. Rosalind is also a divorce and parenting coach, as well as founder of the Child-Centered Divorce Network for Parents. She is an expert blogger for the Huffington Post divorce section, an advisor at parentalwisdom.com, and a contributing expert for Divorce 360, Kids Edge Magazine, DivorceSource.com, and an expert blogger for numerous other divorce parenting and singles websites and blogs, as well as Exceptional People magazine. You certainly are exceptional, Roz. Today, she is going to share some personal insights on some of the worst mistakes that parents can make when they're going through divorce and how they can avoid them. This is going to be a great interview. And Roz, welcome to this Google Hangout.
Thank you, Lisa. It's a pleasure to be with you as always.
Well, thank you for your time today. And why don't you share with us a little bit about what you have created for this special month of International Child-Centered Divorce Month, and some of the things that you have going on in regards to that.
Oh, wonderful. This is a very special month because January is the month when there are more divorces than any other time of the year. And so we dedicated January to educating parents about options they have so they can make wiser decisions before, during, and long after a divorce. As you know, if you're a parent who gets divorced, your situation is very different from someone who gets divorced without children because you're going to be co-parenting for the rest of your lives. And you want to be able to handle the divorce in a way that minimizes the trauma, the scars, the wounds, and any negative effects on your children. And that's challenging.
It
So what
is.
we've done in January is invited divorce experts around the world. They're on 5 continents, and they're providing gifts, digital gifts. That means ebooks and audios, free coaching programs, video programs, whatever you can get with a click, they're offering it. And the advice runs the gamut from financial expertise that you're providing, as well as information about parenting, co-parenting, single parenting, dealing with facets of how your children are coping with the divorce themselves, dealing with school issues, understanding the ramifications of communicating better, also credit and debt issues, and anything else having to do with divorce. And we have attorneys, mediators, therapists, educators, parenting experts from all over who are contributing. So I'm very proud of this month-long commemoration. And anyone can join us and participate by visiting our special website. And that website is divorcedparentsupport.com/ebook. That's an ED at the end of divorce. So it's divorcedparentsupport.com/ebook. And once you enter your email address, you first get my free ebook on post-divorce parenting, and then you get a link that takes you right into the rest of the website, and there's just dozens of experts providing their wisdom for you to take advantage of. So we're very proud of it.
And I am very honored to be a part of all of those experts. So thank you for having me. So let's start out with sharing with folks, would you please, just a little bit about your personal experience that led you to down this path to helping other parents avoid common problems.
Well, my own divorce was the catalyst that started me in this world. My child was 11 years old at the time, and I was so afraid of harming him and scarring him
Sure.
and making him angry about the divorce. And I tried to find resources, and this was 20 years ago. There weren't as many available.
Mm.
And finally, I created my own approach to breaking the divorce news to my son, and the approach was so novel because it involved actually creating a storybook in advance with family photos and the text that I created, which includes 6 key messages to telling your children about divorce. And it was such an effective tool. And I said to myself, you know, you have a writing background. Maybe you should share this with other people. But I sat on it for 15 years and co
Mm.
parented my son. And it was only after he was a grown adult that I decided to write the book. And I'm proud to say that my son wrote the foreword to the book. So he tells his own story. And that's when I knew that I had a lot of wisdom that I could share with people. And I became a divorce and parenting coach, specializing in the parenting side. I don't provide legal advice, but I provide lots of insights, tips, and strategies on communication skills and what to look for in children to find signs of problems and how children of different ages will react to divorce and mistakes to avoid and good ways to co-parent so that your children have minimal scars and minimal negative effects from the divorce. And I know that's what every loving parent really wants.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Would you mind sharing a few of those common mistakes that people make and, what you advise folks to avoid that?
Yes, this is so important, and I'm happy to share that with you. Some of the most important mistakes include, first and foremost, is fighting around the children. Studies
Mm.
have proven time and time again that when there's conflict around children, even in a marriage without a divorce, the children are affected. It changes who they are, and they feel so powerless to fix things for their parents. They get filled with guilt, they get filled with confusion, which side to side with, and there's a lot of turmoil, and many children will either act out and get aggressive have behavior problems, or they turn in and they get depressed and
Mm.
they decide to just cut off from life and friends and family. Either way, you're creating a lot of issues that are all based on the fact that the divorce wasn't handled well. And so you want to keep the conflict out of earsight as well as eyesight, even on the phone. Make sure your children are not around. When you need to vent, when you need to fight and scream and do all the things you do, you need to have that at a time when your children aren't there and when you can be talking to a counselor or a therapist or a support group or getting the support you need because we all need support during a divorce. It's
Yes.
not an easy process.
No, and
But
it's
your
not a time to
children,
go it alone. No,
oh, but
no,
your children are not the support you need, which
no.
brings us to mistake number 2, and that is sharing or confiding in your children about the divorce.
Mm.
It's very tempting to want to let your kids know why you're so angry at dad or mom. And tell your kids about the terrible things they did to hurt you and to vent and to get them on your side. But it's very, very bad for your children. Children innately love both mom and dad.
Sure.
And they don't want to be caught and feel very guilty when they're forced to take sides. They don't want to hear bad things about the other parent. And even when you're talking to teens, they are not fully mature and capable of understanding the emotional, psychological ramifications of the divorce. Adults have enough trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what we want to do is protect our children from those details and let them know that mom and dad are working things out for everyone's best interest. And if you want to wait till your children are over 21 and then start talking about the addictions and the adultery and other things like that, fine, but not before because it affects.
Roz, are you still there? Hello? Have we lost you?
You don't see me?
The video. Oh, there you are. This is modern
Yeah.
technology, folks. So we're just going to
Okay.
keep rolling here.
So what I was saying is that what we do when we make these mistakes is we rob our children of their childhood.
Yes.
And we don't be doing that. We don't want them growing up before their time and taking on adult issues on their shoulders when they're way younger and they should be still enjoying their childhood. Another
Absolutely.
important mistake to avoid is putting down, bad mouthing, or demeaning in any way their other parent, your ex. It's very, very dangerous for children, it's harmful for children, and we just don't want them to have to experience you trying to tell them how bad their other parent is. Again, they feel guilty. They feel responsible. They're trying to fix things and they can't fix things.
No, and that's not something that's appropriate for children to be put in the place of. That's a big
And,
pet peeve for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I know a lot of parents feel justified. You're angry, you're hurt. Maybe you were really abused in a relationship, and so you're filled with rage, and you want your children to know what an SOB your ex is. But it isn't good for your children to get that information
No.
and to process that. So also, if you're tempted to alienate your children, to get them on your side, to confide, and so that they don't like the other parent just the same way you don't. When children of divorce grow up, studies have shown that many of them are very angry when
Mm.
one parent tried to alienate them from the other parent. It creates untold distress for the children, not to mention the horrific results for the other parent. No matter how bad they were to you, if they weren't a bad parent per se, then they shouldn't be punished in that way. And so we strongly encourage you to put yourself in your children's shoes, see the
Mm.
world through their eyes, and understand the divorce through the eyes of a 6-year-old or a 16-year-old. It's something that's different from the way you're looking at it. And it's very important that you have compassion and empathy for your children and their circumstances. So you don't want to be forcing them to take on roles that aren't comfortable for them. So that includes spying on their other parent. And when
Mm.
they come home from visitation, giving you a recounting of everyone they spoke to on the phone and who they saw and who they're dating and what they ate. Yes, we want to have conversations and it's interesting to talk about what happened in the visit, but there's a line. There's another line between making your children start being spies and feeling the pressure and the
Yeah.
responsibility of knowing how much they want to protect both parents and sharing information about the other parent's home. And then being told, don't say anything about what goes on in my house to the other parent. It's very confusing for them. And
Sure.
we don't want them to be messengers. We
No.
don't to have the children going back and tell daddy to pick you up at 7:30 and not 8:30. You don't need to depend on your children for that. Fortunately, today we have wonderful online scheduling tools that take care of all of those situations. One, for example, is Our Family Wizard, which
Mm-hmm.
is a wonderful online tool. And what parents do is get the opportunity to put down every detail of all of the scheduling in writing in the right place. And not only do you have the scheduling details, but information about health and the sizes of clothing and favorite colors in the toys and all kinds of details. And this information is even available for mediators and attorneys and therapists to peek into so they can check up and see if everything is being handled well.
Mm.
And it reduces conflict because it forces you to be mature and to handle your communications appropriately. And
Mm.
then no one can say, oh, I forgot or I didn't know because it's all there in writing.
No, it's a
And
fabulous tool. I recommend it highly to clients.
yes. So when we take care of all of those things, we realize that we as parents are responsible for how we parent our children during and after the divorce. And these mistakes are terrible errors because they affect the emotional and psychological essence of who our children are way before their time. And it fills them with grief and sadness and confusion and guilt and despair, and we don't want any of that. So these are important mistakes that definitely need to be avoided. They're common mistakes, and the more parents know and understand, the better off the outcome's going to be for everyone in the family.
And that is such great advice. I am so grateful to you for sharing that today. You know, one of the things that I tell folks when they come in is that your family dynamics are changing, but there will always be a family here. And how you parent will affect everyone in the family for possibly generations to come. Because, you know, we as coaches, we are the voice of reason sometimes for clients. And I say, do you want to be the reason that your children are uncomfortable forever on at graduations and weddings and, you know, holidays because you couldn't find a way to be in the same room together? You know, this makes your children, it puts them in a very difficult position. And so having that maturity to put your children be the center of everything and seeing it through their eyes is just fabulous advice. And I'm so grateful to you for sharing that with us.
Well, thank you.
Is there anything
Uh,
else that you
th-
want to
th-
share
there's,
here?
there's an important question that goes with all of this that I think really encapsulates the essence of what we want parents to understand. If you can stop and ask yourself this question before you make any parenting decision, it'll help you make smarter, more responsible decisions. And that question is, do I love my children more than I hate my ex?
Mm.
Do I love my children more than I hate my ex? And that makes you stop and think that every decision you make is affecting your children. So if you're just out there to hurt your ex, you have to understand that much of the consequences are going to be affecting your innocent children as well. And what price should they be paying for the ego gratification of trying to hurt your ex? So if you can move on, and if you can understand the power of forgiveness, the power of understanding that forgiveness doesn't mean approving or validating what your ex may have done that hurt you, but it means you're cutting the cord emotionally. You're letting go of their hold over you so that you can move on in your life, so that your family can move on in life. And when you cut that emotional cord and you forgive and say that's the past and I'm moving on, then you're able to co-parent more effectively because it's a cleaner relationship. The only time you have to deal with one another is when you're talking about issues affecting your children, and you have to look at it almost as a business. Your children are a company that you two are working on together forevermore, and you want that company to thrive. You want those children to grow and thrive and be the best they can be, and not say, well, my life would have been better, but my parents got a divorce at this age, and then everything went downhill ever since. You don't want that for your children.
No.
So you have to think of the consequences at all times.
And from the financial perspective, the consequence of, you know, fighting over things to get at your ex, all of that money that's spent in the process then is money that is not going to be spent on your children or their education or their future. So there are a lot of reasons that, you know, emotionally and financially and just their overall well-being. Creating great children and great citizens in the world takes a lot of work, whether you're divorced or not. And getting divorced adds another layer of complexity that surely makes it more difficult to be a child. So let's give them every opportunity to thrive in two households and move on and see that life does go on after divorce and great things can happen. Children are wonderful, wonderfully adept at facing challenges and dealing with them, but we've got to, as adults, give them the right support and the tools and our understanding of how to handle it in the right way in order for them to flourish and for that to happen. And what a wonderful testimony to you that your son wrote the foreword to your book and that he has turned out to be quite the young man. So thank you for leading the way in this movement.
Well, thank you. I am quite proud of that. For me, that was the greatest accomplishment of my life because, most parents have such guilt about the divorce that they carry with them. And getting that validation when my son was a young man in his 20s was a great reward for me. It just said that all the work, the sacrifices, and the effort to do things in the right way really paid off, and that he acknowledged both of us, his father and me, for co-parenting successfully. We were at all the important occasions at his life there together, so he didn't have to pick and choose and feel tension. And we just tried to make life as good for him as possible. And isn't that what you're all about when you're a parent?
Absolutely. Well, it should be, right? It definitely
Yes,
should be.
yes.
Well, thank you again. Why don't you give that website one more time so folks can get all those great gifts that you've brought together from all the experts around the world?
Happy to do that. Yes, during January for International Child Centered Divorce Month, if you visit divorcedparentsupport.com/ebook, you'll get all the free gifts. And all year round, if you visit my own website, which is childcentereddivorce.com, then you'll get all the information and ongoing valuable resources that we have there at all times, including coaching services and audio coaching programs and many other tools, and so that you can have the answers you need and take the steps that you need to create a successful, harmonious, child-centered divorce. And I know that's what your children will thank you for in the end.
Absolutely. Well, this is Lisa Decker again, and I you can find me at divorcemoneymatters.com and divorcetownusa.com, and you'll also find Rosalind there as one of our featured experts. And we encourage you to reach out and get all the guidance and support you need. It's out there. There are great folks wanting to help you. This is not a time to go it alone or do it alone. You need a support network, and we are here for you. So thank you for joining us. And do go get your free gifts.